Hello everyone. So welcome to Planet Geology. My name is Lawrence Kanyan and I'm co-founder and educator at Planet Geology. In this video, we will look at the examination pattern of the 2020 UPSC Civil Services Examination Geology Optional Mains paper. So the paper was held on 17th January 2021 because of the coronavirus pandemic. So in this video, we will discuss about the type of questions that were asked in the paper and what was the difficulty level of the paper. But before we jump into the details, I would like you guys to please hit the bell icon and subscribe to your YouTube channel so that you can receive notifications related to your examination preparation for UPSC Civil Services, Indian Forest Services examinations, or other examinations which are specific to geologists or geology students such as GSI, GATE, NET, all those examinations. So without any further delay, let's jump to the pattern of the paper. So or the question paper which was asked. So as usual, you have two papers. Each paper is divided into two sections, section A and section B. As we have discussed in one of our previous videos, in each section you have it corresponds to three subjects, and it's sort of like equally divided between those subjects, that the questions that are asked. There is slight difference if you look at the paper between the pattern in section A and section B, in terms of how the questions are divided between subjects. So we will look at those questions and types. So overall, if you ask about the difficulty of the subject or the difficulty of the paper this year, it was a pretty straightforward, very easy question paper. If you have studied just your basic PSC geology stuff with some topics which are specific to UPSC, you will be able to solve all the question paper. A lot of questions were repeated from previous year examinations. This is not always the case, especially if you look at Indian Forest Services examination. 2017, 2018 exams were a little bit difficult, but this year the civil service examination was pretty straightforward. If you have gone through planet geology material, you will be able to solve 80 to 90% of the paper. And if you take into consideration that you also have choices in the questions, you don't have to attempt the entire paper. So if you take that into consideration, you will be able to solve each and every question in this paper if you have gone through planet geology material related to this subject. So paper 1 section A, it has subjects which is general geology, geomorphology and remote sensing, and structural geology. So if you look at the questions, they are pretty straightforward, but this also becomes sort of challenging, that when you have easy question paper, everyone will write answers. So in that case, you also have to somehow differentiate your answers. You need to get to write very good answers. You need to draw diagrams. You need to mention some points which no one else will mention, so that becomes very important, especially if you are attempting an easy paper. So if I will not go through these individual questions on this slide. I have them compiled in a presentation later, and we'll discuss them in a presentation later on. If you want to download the question paper, I will provide the link in the description below. So please do download the question paper and also like this video, and so that you can analyze it for yourself. Okay, so these are again section B of paper 2. So general geology will discuss what were the main question types that were asked. So the first one is a very simple question: discuss different types of meteorites. So if you open planet geology course also, so in the first few chapters only, or in the first chapter, first few lessons, you will find discussion on different types of meteorites. So everyone will write chondrites, iron stony meteorites, achondrites, stuff like that. Okay, so to get good answers, you need to write something extra. Okay, so what do they represent? Okay, for example, what do iron meteorites represent? They represent, for example, the fractionated, they are equivalent to fractionated earth, the core component of the earth, whereas the bulk earth is represented by chondrites or stony meteorites. So stuff like this you have to write in your answer so that you can get good marks in your answers. The second question is a 20-mark question that you see here. Again, I have now divided these questions subject wise. So this was asked in this part, the second part that you see, was asked in a different question. So it asks you to explain the internal structure of earth. and also to write a note on discontinuities. So again, this question is very broad, and it depends on how you structure your question. If you have gone through if you are a geography student, you may write things such as those related to divisions of earth based on different discontinuities, based on rheology, stuff like that. But as geologist, you may need to write something extra, especially about when you're writing about internal structure of earth. You also have to give a little bit note about the mineralogy. Okay, so what are the mineral phase changes that happen as you go down? Those mineral and phase changes due to pressure and temperature differences. And then you have to define the compositional structure of the earth and the rheological structure of the earth. Okay, for example, things such as lithosphere, asthenosphere, mesosphere, that is based on the physical properties, whereas crust, mantle, core, this is based on more of like a compositional division. So you have to differentiate that, and then you have to write a note on discontinuities. Discontinuities also you need to specify whether those are compositional discontinuities or are they seismic discontinuities. Okay, compositional versus seismic. Okay, so that will sort of like again tie back to the earlier part that we had, in that sense, that's internal structure of the earth. Okay, so what internal structure, as I said, you also need to write about the phase changes. For example, what happens to olivine as you keep going down its structure, you get, like, for example, spinel structure. Then what happens at core, mantle, boundaries, all those things will play a role into this. And also, for bonus points, what you can write in here is the how do we get to know about this. Okay, how, because this is again a 20 mark question, so write as much as you can. How do we know about it? So those evidences for internal structure can be, for example, study from meteorites. Okay, so if you look at the bulk composition of earth and versus if you compare it to the composition of the crust, it is very different. Overall bulk composition that you expect from meteorites. Evidences come from seismic data, evidences comes from models, mathematical calculations, what should be moment of inertia, what should be the mass of earth. All these things tell you about the internal structure of earth. Question number 3 is again related to magnitude and intensity expression of size of earthquake. So some scales are what we call magnitude scales. Some are based on intensity. That is, they try to try to take into consideration the acceleration of ground, or the amplitude of earthquake, or the energy released in an earthquake. So you have to tell about those. You also need to list down different scales, whether it is Richter scale, moment magnitude scale, Mercalli scale. So you need to tell that. Intensity scale, for example, Mercalli scale are the ones which also take into account the consideration the factors, for example, presence or absence of sediments or damage that is caused in an area. So all that will come into this. And also you have to write a note on the damage caused by earthquake, what factor it depends on, what and also the structures. So all that will go into this. So again, a pretty straightforward question. All these are pretty straightforward. Fourth one also, it comes almost every year. So usually they will ask in whether write a note on sea floor spreading, or the wording will change, but it is very commonly asked. This also, you'll see all these questions if you go through general geology course of planet geology. You will find answers to all these questions. So mechanisms of seafloor spreading, you have to write about it, and four evidences. So they ask you about four evidences. They could be related to paleomagnetism, or the fact that age of oceanic crust is not very large, or is not older. You don't see oceanic crust older than 200 million years. The fit of continents on opposite sides of ocean. So like so and so forth. There are many evidences of for ocean seafloor spreading. Next, coming to geomorphology and remote sensing. So again, pretty straightforward questions. Maybe here and there you will have to think about it a little bit, but again, they are pretty straightforward. For example, the first question, you have to very briefly describe two diagnostic landforms, each of hot arid and cold arid climate. So if you look at hot arid, basically these will be your hot deserts. So mostly you'll see, say for example, aeolian landforms in hot deserts. So you can define those very briefly. You have to, and they should be diagnostic. It means they you once you should define those landforms which you'll find only in a hot desert. Okay, so they should not be found in any other places. For example, don't write sand dunes, because sand dunes can be found in hot desert also. You can find them in beach setting also. Okay, so things like that. Then you have to write briefly about cold desert landforms. Okay, these should be diagnostic. Discuss various fields in which IRS data can be used. So Indian remote sensing satellite, again, very important question. Always there is a question from this. So you just have to write applications of those, pretty straightforward. You have to discuss differences between geomorphology of east coast and west coast of India. Even if you're prepared for general studies general studies paper for UPSC, you will be able to write answers to this question. There are probably a few terms, because now this is not a general studies paper, this is a geology paper. So something you will have to write which will help differentiate your answer. For example, you may write something about flexural loading. Okay, so there is loading in the Indus part which is called, okay, or the plate tilting, how the collision happens with Himalayas. So the different things will come into this picture. Development of flexure bulge, so all this will come into this. So those are reasons for the differences, and you also need to tell the differences. For example, the western coast is more of like an emergent coast. You see more deltas, progradation on the eastern coast, whereas you see mostly estuaries and transgression on the western coast. So all these things will come into picture on these differences. Eastern coast is much wider than in comparison to the western coast. So again, a pretty straightforward question. Fourth one is also not very difficult. So describe three main controlling factors of soil formation, and how does the modern soil differ from paleosoil. So these differences you have to mention. So paleosoil is a paleosoil, or sometimes it is called paleosoil. So these are ancient soils which may be lithified at the uh, present time being. They may also not be lithified, but you used to sort of like have to tell these differences, how they may varied. Because for example, through time, plant life has evolved. There were no angiosperms if you go to Paleozoic. So there these things create some differences in types of soils. If you go to Precambrian, there were no plants in that time. So soils have changed through time. You have to describe that briefly. And three controlling factors, there are actually many controlling factors. It could be the parent material which is eroding. For example, basalt gives rise to black cotton soils in the Deccan India. It could be the biota, that is organisms which are living in an area. It could be climate, topography, time. So all these things play a role. So first of all, you have to describe four, but list others also, so that you can write a good answer. Don't just stop there. Fifth is again, I would say, straightforward question. Cartosat and Raysat, these are usually asked in the examination. Especially there is a trend, if you look at recent papers, that Indian remote sensing satellite series is a part of the syllabus. Uh, so it started in the 80s. So usually they used to ask about IRS series satellites, but now they are asking about the more recent ones which have been launched, such as Cartosat and RISAT. If you look at some of the older books, this Cartosat 3 and RISAT 2b, they have been mentioned. It has been mentioned that these will be future satellites, but now we are in 2021 and these satellites have already been launched. And you have to discuss how they are superior to their predecessors. Again, it is a question which is repeated from previous year papers, and it is a pretty straightforward question. You have to write about their applications. So again, two questions for from the satellites part in the remote sensing. So in remote sensing, there are two questions. Both of them are based on the satellites part. Next, structural geology. It is a vast subject. Okay, interpretation of maps and all is also given in the syllabus, but usually those type of questions are not asked. So these are pretty easy questions. So if you study any standard textbook from structural geology, you'll be able to write those answers. Especially, and if you go through planet geology material, you'll be able to answer all these questions. So until now, what I have seen in this question paper is that if you're going through the courses on planet geology, you just need to study the study material. You don't need to go to here and there to reference books and all the material is provided to you. So these questions can be answered from that material. So first of all, how do we determine top of beds from primary features? So top of beds. So what this question is asking, basically beds can be overturned. Okay, so in geology, principle of original horizontality tells us everything is deposited horizontality, and on top you have younger beds, and on the bottom, that is the older layers. O stands for old, Y stands for younger layers. Sometimes these beds can be overturned, let's say due to tectonic activity. So you may have older on top and younger on base. Okay, so how do you actually, it is not a straightforward exercise that you just tell which is top of the bed, which is bottom of the bed, because beds are many times, they may be inclined, as I said, they may be overturned, so there are different reasons. So you just need to specify what are the different ways in which you can determine the top of the bed. It could be, for example, graded bedding. It could be from the pebbles which are deposited. Okay, whether it is which is concave side, which is convex side. It could be through uh, cross beds. You can identify what is the top, what is the bottom, and then you need to specify like what type of cross beds will you need. Okay, for example, angular cross beds which truncate the top surface and bottom surface, those you cannot use. Okay, they have to be tangential ones. For example, it may look like this in the second case. So these things will come into the picture. The second question, classification of folds based on attitude of fold attitude and plunge. Again, this is a pretty straightforward question which is asked every year. So all those reclined, inclined, plunging, horizontal, everything will come into this. Again, you have to draw a diagram here because it is only a 5-mark question. So describe very briefly what is fold axis, what is plunge, what do you mean by a dip of axial surface, things like that. So you have to define very quickly and then just draw the diagram, which you, I think, this sort of like triangular diagram, Flute's classification, which every geology student knows. Now again, to get bonus marks in this question, you must please, in these kind of question, please draw the stereographic representation also. Okay, for example, how will a reclined fold look on a stereographic projection? How will an upright fold look on stereographic projections? So those stereographic projections you have to draw in this case. If you don't draw them, you may lose 1 or 2 marks. If you draw them, you will get very high marks if you draw those stereographic projections here. Next question, what is an unconformity? 4 types of unconformities, pretty straightforward question. Unconformity represents a time gap, and you may have angular unconformity, non-conformity, disconformity, paraconformity. So there are different kinds of unconformities. You need to draw diagrams. Pretty straightforward question. All the questions are now pretty straightforward. What is a shear zone? Its characters, deformation types. Again, it's not a difficult question. Pretty straightforward question. Shear zone is a broad zone of ductile deformation. So you would have studied faults, normal faults, reverse faults. So the faults are basically brittle. They are defined by brittle deformation. Shear zones are defined by ductile deformation. So here you will see structures such as foliation, lineation, SC fabric, mantled porphyroclast. So all those will come into deformed structures of foliation. And briefly also discuss relation of, let's say, relation between bedding and foliation in this type, so that you can, because this is a structural geology question, not a metamorphic petrology. We study foliation lineations in metamorphic petrology also. So just write briefly how foliation can be used to determine the previous structures. Mohr diagram, its relevance and interpreting different stress conditions, very important. Again, straightforward because Mohr circle is a very important topic in geology, and it is a 20-mark question, so write as much as you can about relevance also. If you can derive more circle, that is also that will fetch you bonus marks. So all these derivations, its relevance, different types of stress conditions, everything is given on in the structural geology course of planet geology. And if you go through those lectures, you will definitely be able to write down some points which someone else who, let's say, just has gone through old books, Bangar, Mahapatra, uh, like that, you will not be able to write many of those important points. Next is paleontology. So again, it is very easy paper that they can ask. There are many difficult questions that can be framed from paleontology, but it is very simple. So first question is from what we call subject within paleontology, taphonomy. Okay, so three processes by which plant remains and invertebrate shells can be preserved. So again, preservation of fossils is covered under taphonomy. It is a it is the first lecture that we study in paleontology, so pretty straightforward question. Morphology trends in Homo sapiens. We just covered it in our planet geology course just a few weeks back. So if you want to check about this, very nice slides. They are available on our paleontology course. Because this is a 20-mark question, so you have to write those morphological trends, but give a few examples also from Shivalik fauna, okay, where you find Homo sapiens fossils. Not Homo sapiens, but these hominin fossils. Okay, for example, Ramapithecus, Sivapithecus, all those details should come into this question because this is a 20-mark question. Give an account of Lower Gondwana flora from peninsular, extra-peninsular India. Again, a pretty, I would say, standard question. Not easy. Indian stratigraphy is requires a lot of learning, so not an easy question, but still something which can be easily answered if you have especially gone through previous year papers and you have studied the syllabus. What environment conditions do they indicate? Okay, so this you have to write about paleo environment conditions, because we know at Gondwana time, especially at the start, you have the start of glacial conditions and how do they evolve through time, that you can know from the type of plants that you see from there. You have to name any two microfossils and discuss how they are used in reconstructing paleoclimatic conditions. One which is used most commonly is foraminifera. So you have to describe that in here. They are very commonly used in reconstructing paleo conditions. Others you can choose. You can go with ostracods, for example, or you may choose. I wouldn't suggest going with nanofossils such as radiolarians, but microfossils, there are actually many microfossils which you can choose to write, and especially you have to describe how they can be used to determine paleoclimatic conditions. Again, stratigraphy, Indian stratigraphy part, most of the questions if you see here in this paper, they are related to, they are sort of like interlinked between stratigraphy and mineral deposits of India. So for example, minerals associated with Kudappa supergroup of rocks, minerals associated with the tertiary rocks of India. So all these are stratigraphic questions, but they are asking about mineral deposits that are related to those different tectonic subdivisions of India. I think if you have gone through general studies part also, you would be able to answer some, write something in this question. But now because you are writing geology optional, so you have to write something that is related to geology. You have to write about different cratons, different uh, sedimentary basins, and how they are divided into different tectonic units. Okay, so it's just not different geomorphic regions of India, but rather tectonic division. So Himalaya, for example, is one tectonic subdivision. You have mobile belts. Everything will go into this paper. Again, this is one of the introductory lectures of Indian stratigraphy, so it should not be very difficult to answer this question. Stratigraphic time scale from the beginning until present. So this is a very long answer and very broad topic. So you have to write about this. So you have to write all the way from the Hadean, that is the start of the Earth, from the early bombardment to the great oxygenation events to early, I mean, before oxygenation event, to evolution of prokaryotic life forms, which were mostly anaerobic in nature, and then going to eukaryotic life forms, aerobic life forms, formation of oxygen, formation of banded iron or banded iron formations. So growing from sort of Hadean to Archean, Proterozoic, and then coming into Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. So all this you have to describe. You have to describe how Earth is changing through time, how plant and animal life is changing through time. So again, pretty broad, but there is a lot of stuff that you can write in this question. And then question number 5, discuss about Cretaceous tertiary boundary examples from India. So this is from boundary problems in Indian stratigraphy. We just released a lecture on this question just a week before the examination. So the answer to this question is given on Planet Geology YouTube channel, so you can go through that. So these were the subjects from paper 1. We will cover paper 2 in part 2 of the video. So in the first part, we've covered this. All the questions that we have seen here, 100% of the paper is easily solvable. You can very easily solve the paper if you have gone through the video lectures or if you've gone through standard study material. So you may think that this is easy, but actually sometimes it becomes a little bit hard in this scenario because everyone will write answers, so you need to somehow differentiate your answers. Okay, as I said, for example, in Mohr circle you can write derivation of Mohr circle, everyone will write Mohr circle. You can write applications of Mohr circle, different stress regimes. Okay, you will write, for example, uniaxial tension or triaxial stress, biaxial stress, everyone will write those. You write some applications of those. You write impact of pore pressure on Mohr circle. You write about failure criterion. Why is it used? It is used to determine when the rocks will fail. Okay. Also write that it is sort of an alternative in many cases to the stress ellipsoid. So these points you have to write. You have to draw very nice diagrams, and then you will get full answers. And write some points. For example, if you go through planet geology lectures in Mohr circle, you will see a lot of discussion on what is that angle theta in Mohr circle. Okay, many times people find it hard in defining theta. So if you have a rock, how you define theta? And things such as Anderson's theory of faulting. Nobody will link Mohr circle with Anderson's theory of faulting. You go through planet geology courses and you will find the link, and nobody in the paper will write that thing. So that is how you can differentiate yourself and get good marks. Okay, so I will end this part 1 of the paper here, and I will see you again on the discussion on part 2 of the question paper. So see you then, and bye for now.